Many people in our society, they have this problem of when they talk, so they often end up in failure or creating problems for themselves or the people they talk to. But why it happens? It's because of the things that we ignore while we open before we open our mouth or before we start talking. There are a few things that we should know whenever we want to talk to someone or share something with someone. What are those factors in this video? I'm going to discuss three main things that would help you overcome this problem and be effective communicators. So the first thing that we should know here is what effective communication actually is. By effective communication, we mean to say is that communication where you get the desired feedback. Now, what desired feedback is? By desired feedback, we mean to say what you expect from the audience. You get that reply or feedback. So, for example, if I ask someone about his health or some other thing, and he starts telling me about the time, so that clearly means that I failed to get my message across effectively. Either I was too difficult, either I was very quick or fast. That's why he didn't get what I wanted to say, and hence it resulted in failure or misunderstanding. So to overcome these things, we have to consider a few things. I'm gonna name the things that are going to be discussed and that are important for communication. So the first one of them is user-related factor that we are going to discuss in detail in a while. Then we have content-related factor, and after that we have budget-related factor. The first thing that we're going to talk about is user-related factor, and by that we mean knowing the person you're talking to. As you must have heard, the often used sentence that is know your audience. So by knowing your audience, what we exactly mean, because once you know someone, so then you'll be able to come to him with the things that he need, or to be exact, by you know what nerve hurts the most, so that you may hit that, whether that can be emotional, appealing to his emotions, or to the things that he actually requires from you. So this is what we mean by knowing the user or knowing the audience. Now, what are the things to be considered? Because this is what politicians, what the good orators do to you whenever they want to address you. So they first have some sort of research in knowing the people of the area, and then they come and talk to them. So the first thing that we going to discuss here in knowing the audience is the age of the person. That can be both physical age and mental age, because if you know the mental level of the person, then you'll be able to communicate with that person effectively. By that I mean to say, you would talk things that are of his level, mental level and physical level. For example, if I'm delivering a lecture to the students of class 10th or first year, so I have to keep things simple. I have to keep things to their level. Only then they'll be able to understand. Or if I'm talking to an illiterate person, so I shouldn't be talking about scientific stuff or difficult stuff, the stuff that won't be of that person's level. So it won't be an effective communication. And one thing that I'm going to make clear here is that only talking to someone doesn't mean communication, because communication involves a lot of things. It involves the things that we normally ignore, and that's why we fail to get our message or to gain the required or the desired result. So whenever we talk, we have something in our mind that we're seeking from that other person. Either we try to persuade that person to do something or to carry something for us, or to impart some knowledge with that person, some information to that person. So that is only possible once you consider the level of that person, and once you are on the same level, only then the effective communication can take place. So you have to consider the mental and both the physical age of the people. You cannot talk of stuff to kids that are not good for them. Like we have categories, the stuff like you normally have seen, whether the stuff is good for kids or not. So you shouldn't be talking to kids in that manner, the way you talk to the elder people, or same goes for the mental age. Some people, though their physical age is not that much, but their mental age is good, so you can discuss these things with them. So it means that communication takes a lot of observation. You have to observe the situation, you have to observe the person, and then come up with suitable things that you think would be helpful in that situation. So you have to consider the age of the people you talk to. Another thing that needs to be considered is the culture, the society that you are in, because every society has its own norms, it has its own traditional ways of doing or approaching things. So when you address people, when you talk to someone, so you should know the society that that person belongs to or his cultural values, because if you don't consider that, so you might say something that would hurt his feelings. You need to be considerate about this factor as well, because we don't live in a vacuum. We have our values, we have things that are very dear to us, and even if you want to convince someone for something, you have to be very tricky, you have to be very persuasive. So first you have to appeal to his emotions, and then you should go for hitting that area if you have to. Just a few days back of reading a letter on the internet somewhere, where at the end of the letter a friend writes to another friend, say my regards to your sister as well. So in our Pashtun society, I have seen we mind this if you write this in the letter. So you have to keep these things in mind and then talk to the person. Religion is another factor that needs to be considered. If you are if you are addressing a gathering where you have people from different religions, they are following different religions, so you shouldn't talk like you hurt someone. You have to be neutral in that situation, because people, they hold their beliefs dear to them, and if you say something that goes against their religious views, so it might create problems for you. So this is another thing, and a very important thing, because it can be dangerous if you talk about things that are prohibited there or they don't want to discuss. So keep this thing in mind, that you are not supposed to hurt anyone. You have a goal in your mind, and you should be clear about that you have to achieve that. Employ ways for tricks for that to achieve that goal of yours that you have in your mind without hurting anyone's sentiments or feelings about something. Gender is also very much important in communication. Once you know the gender of the person, then you'll be able to come with the word that fit to that gender. Like if you are talking to one of your own kind, one of your own gender, so you feel more relaxed and you have greater freedom compared to facing the opposite gender, where you have to be very careful and choosy about your words. some of the people, they miss this thing and they start talking to the opposite gender in a tone or in a way that is not appropriate, and it creates problems in that situation. So should be considered, the person you're talking to, you should consider and come with a type of language that fits that gender, so it should help in achieving your goal. Now we move to content related factor, and by content we mean to say the subject of your talk, what you chose to present before the audience. So it should be according to the needs or the expectations of the audience, of the users, and once you consider that user related factors, so it would be very easy for you to choose your content according to the needs of the audience. It should be well prepared, it should be well thought out, it should contain the things that are needed for the audience or for the users or the people that you're addressing. And a good example I'd give you from it'll be from the advertisements that you see, the TV commercials, or the advertisements that you see on the signboards. I personally saw an ad of Q Mobile, and I saw a picture of Nargis Fakhri with it, and I was looking at her for about 2 or 3 minutes because the picture was very prominent in there. And later I realized that because she had a phone in her hand as well, and later I realized that it's about the phone. So they know our mentality. They have research, as I told you earlier, that they first carry research knowing the needs, the likes and dislikes of the people, all the things that are related to the users, and then they come up with things that can be more persuasive, more attractive for the audience or for the people of that area. So this is a very much important thing whenever you try to talk to someone, whenever you try to write to someone. So you should know the person, and then you chose your subject matter, your content according to the needs or the requirements of the audience. Now moving to the last one, and the most important one as well, is the budget related factor. Before you open your mouth or before you start writing, you should know the available resources that you have, the time available, the money, the budget for that, the space that you have. So once you consider these things, it would be of great help to finish the things within that available resources, within that available frame of time or space. Let me give you an example. We had some guests, and they had a kid, and they were enjoying tea, and the kid started weeping. And when the mom of that kid asked the reason for that, so the kid said that Noor cake the sister, and that he means to say that he had no tea left in his cup, and still he had a piece of cake in his hand. So it definitely means that he didn't consider that he has to finish both at the same time. He didn't consider what he was doing with either the tea or with the cake, and that way he missed a part of it. So whenever you start something, you have to consider this thing, and normally students face this problem. They start writing without considering the time available to them, and they end up in performing poorly in the exam because they miss some questions as they have given a lot of time to another question, or often they don't have that much space on their page and they just start writing, so they are left with leaving a better part of their answer there. So and also the people, when they talk, so they should know the space, they should know the number of the people in the hall. So you should talk in a tone, you should talk in the voice that can reach to the last person in that hall. So these things are very much important, but often they are ignored, and that's why we don't get the desired feedback or the desired result, because we simply fail to notice these important things. So whenever you talk, you should know the available resources, the resources that you have, that you can use to achieve your goal. And once you consider them, it would be an effective communication, because it would earn you your desired results. Thank you very much.